Hey guys, I wanted to just check in with you guys today just to give you a couple words of encouragement. Our authorities are asking us to really work hard at practicing social distancing, and they've actually put in a lot of efforts and things in place to help us do that well. And one of the ways that that's affecting believers in Jesus is that means we have to take a break from coming to our times of worshiping together, the times in which we would normally gather together to study God's word, to praise and worship Jesus, as well as to fellowship with one another. Essentially, the message that the authorities are really speaking to us is the message to stay in. And that message, stay in some ways implies the idea don't go anywhere, right? I mean, that's what it means to stay in, is that we would not go anywhere. We would stay put. But man, as I'm thinking on that, like, it just reminds me, friends, of some things that we talked about just a few weeks ago as we were studying Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 and following, when we saw Jesus out walking on the water. In a time when the winds were blowing really hard, the waves had gotten really big, and Jesus was walking out on the water. And what we talked about, if you guys remember, just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this. So often, a lot of pastors want to focus on Peter and what it is that Peter did. And we said, guys, we can't do that. It's not a passage about Peter. It's a passage about Jesus. And what was it that Jesus did? Well, Peter calls out to him. In verse 28, it says, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. And we said, why would Peter even think that? Why would Peter say to Jesus, if it's you, then call me? And we said, because that's what Jesus does. Jesus calls us to come to him. It's what Jesus did the very first time he met Peter, as he walked by him on the Sea of Galilee, and he said to to Peter and his brother Andrew, come and follow me. It's what Jesus said to those in the Sermon of the Mount, those who were weary and heavy laden, come to me. It's what Jesus had just said a few verses before this passage, when the disciples were trying to figure out how were they going to feed the 5,000 people. And Jesus said, bring them to me. Guys, Jesus's call is always, always, always for us to come to him. So I just want to remind you, after Peter says that, Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water. And these are the next three words, verse 29, he said, come, right? That's Jesus's call to all of us. It's what he's always calling us to do, to come to him. And so guys, what I want to encourage you during this season, when it seems like the wind is blowing really hard and the waves are getting really big, and the message that we are hearing is stay in, don't go anywhere. Guys, that cannot mean for us as believers in Jesus that we stop coming to Jesus. Even in this season, when it means that things are going crazy, that we still continue to come to him, because coming to Jesus, that's the safest and the best place for us to be. Jesus wouldn't have called Peter out on the water if being with him wasn't the best place for Peter to be. And so Jesus is calling us to come to him. So guys, I want you to stay in your houses as much as you can. Practice that social distancing. But please, please, please don't forget that while you're in your houses, to keep coming to Jesus, coming to him by spending time in his word. Come to him by spending time in prayer. That's what he's called us to do, okay? Now, just real quickly, dads and husbands, let me speak just a real quick word to you. There's a couple things that I want you guys to be doing in particular. First, dads and moms, of course, this applies to you as well. Talk to your kids. Ask them the question, dads, hey, what's most disappointing you right now? What are you most disappointed about? And what are you most frustrated with? Guys, our kids are going through a really tough season. They're being pulled away from friends and out of their normal routines. They're having to learn how to do education online. Man, ask them what they're disappointed in and how they're frustrated. And then take them to Jesus. Ask them after that, hey, can I pray about that with you? And then dads and husbands, I want you to do the same thing with your spouse. Ask your wife, Hey, how are you doing? What's frustrating you? What's been most disappointing to you? Guys, I promise that our wives are learning big and difficult new routines as well. They're having to try to figure out how to help our kids navigate this online learning process and just all kinds of disruptions in their schedules as well. And so ask them, dads, husbands, be proactive, talk to your wives. Ask them how they're doing, and then do the very same thing. After you've listened, ask them, hey, can I pray with you about those things? Guys, let's do a good job of leading our wives and our kids to Jesus in this time when we're being asked to stay in, okay? Hey, I love you guys. We'll be back later with some other words of encouragement, but hang in there and keep coming to Jesus, okay? See you guys later.